For 30 unforgettable years, Johnny Carson wasn't just America's late-night host. He was a cultural institution. Every weeknight, millions of viewers tuned in to The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, not just for comedy or entertainment, but to feel connected to the beating heart of Hollywood. On the bright stage, Carson seemed effortless, witty, charming, calm under pressure. He could make even the most nervous actors feel right at home. But when the studio lights dimmed and the cameras went dark, a different side of Johnny came forward. Behind that famous smile was a man who saw through the Hollywood illusion. Carson had a quiet code, one he rarely spoke about, but that every staff member eventually learned. Johnny Carson believed there was one true test of character: how a person treated those who couldn't do anything for them. It wasn't about fame or talent, or even on-screen charisma. What mattered was how someone behaved toward the crew, the camera operators, the stagehands, the assistants. If you treated them well, you had Johnny's respect forever. But if you treated them poorly, no amount of charm could save you. Word spread among the Tonight Show team. There were names Carson subtly crossed off his internal invite list. Guests who looked perfect under the spotlight, but who, behind the curtain, revealed ugly tempers, swollen egos, or cold indifference toward the people who made them look good. One of the first and most shocking of those names was a comedy legend adored by millions. Jerry Lewis was Hollywood royalty, a comedian, actor, filmmaker, and humanitarian. His name was synonymous with entertainment itself. For decades, he made the world laugh with his slapstick humor and unforgettable characters. Each year, his telethons for children's charities drew massive audiences. To the public, he seemed larger than life, a clown with a golden heart. But for Johnny Carson and his Tonight Show crew, that image didn't match the man who showed up backstage. From the moment Lewis entered the studio, something felt off. Crew members recalled him barking orders, snapping at staff, and refusing to learn anyone's name. Instead of please or thank you, he resorted to hey you or camera guy. To the audience, he played the lovable goofball. Behind the curtains, he acted like a king addressing peasants. And the tension didn't stop there. During his Tonight Show appearances, Lewis often disrupted Carson's rhythm, cutting off questions, redirecting topics meant for other guests, making the experience less a conversation and more a performance dominated by Lewis himself. In one particularly awkward moment, Jerry reached across the desk and adjusted Johnny's tie without asking. Everyone on the crew knew that rule. No one, absolutely no one, touched Johnny Carson unless he made the move first. Lewis knew it too. Some believed he did it intentionally, to impose control, to show that he could command attention even on Johnny's turf. Johnny was famously patient. He'd handled divas, eccentrics, and Hollywood legends at their worst. But this was different. Watching Lewis play the saint on TV, while mistreating the very people he claimed to care about, disgusted him. To Carson, hypocrisy was unforgivable. He reportedly confided to a friend after one taping that Lewis was a man whose ego had grown faster than his talent. That was when Carson made one of his rarest decisions as host. He quietly blacklisted Jerry Lewis from The Tonight Show. From that day on, Lewis's name was scratched from future guest lists. Producers knew not to push it. For Carson, some lines once crossed couldn't be redrawn. In a town built on image, Johnny Carson saw reality more clearly than most. He understood that Hollywood fame could hide darkness. And in Jerry Lewis, he saw more than a comedian. He saw a warning sign, a reflection of what happens when kindness is the first thing sacrificed for applause. If Johnny Carson could quietly strike a beloved philanthropist like Jerry Lewis from his guest list, just imagine his reaction to the next name, a former child prodigy whose off-camera behavior could turn a relaxed backstage into pure chaos. This wasn't just a star, this was someone who embodied America's movie innocence, at least on screen. In the late 1930s and early 40s, Mickey Rooney was untouchable. He was the beating heart of wholesome Hollywood. The energetic kid audiences adored, plastered across posters and billboards nationwide. His name alone guaranteed ticket sales, and for years he was the highest box office draw in America. By the time he stepped foot on The Tonight Show in the 1970s, Rooney had aged, but his reputation still carried that golden glow. Producers booked him knowing the audience would feel like they were watching a living link to Hollywood's past. But for Carson and his team, nostalgia wasn't enough to hide the reality. From the start, Rooney's name on the schedule was cause for concern. He was unpredictable, and not just in conversation. His relationship with alcohol was no secret. Staff members recalled moments when he arrived clearly intoxicated, stumbling through introductions, losing his train of thought mid-story, and mumbling in a way that made live television risky. One segment went sour so quickly it became Tonight Show legend. Rooney began telling a story about Judy Garland, veering into uncomfortable territory so abruptly that Carson had to cut him off mid-sentence and reroute the conversation in real time. As troubling as the drinking was, it wasn't even Rooney's most damaging habit. His conduct toward women on set made many staff members uneasy. Some female production assistants dreaded being assigned to him, recalling how he'd grip their hand longer than necessary, pull them close under a false pretense of friendly conversation, or make remarks that left them looking for the nearest exit. By the standards of the 1970s and especially by Carson's own, this wasn't just careless, it was humiliating for everyone involved. Johnny wasn't known for policing guest morals, but he did quietly apologize to women who had to endure Rooney's behavior. One longtime director noted that he'd never seen Carson so personally uncomfortable with a guest. Rather than spark a public scene, Carson scaled back Rooney's appearances. When they did occur, tapings were sometimes shifted earlier in the day, reducing the risk of late-night drinking before airtime. It was a tactical move, the host's way of preserving the connection to a Hollywood icon while limiting the potential fallout. Even so, Mickey Rooney remained, in Carson's eyes, the embodiment of a star who believed fame was a permanent shield against consequences. And if Rooney embarrassed Johnny, the next name managed to make him downright furious. Bette Davis was Hollywood royalty in every sense. 2 Academy Awards, 4 decades of unforgettable performances, a voice you could never mistake, and a wit that could slice through steel. By the time she sat opposite Carson, Davis had nothing left to prove, and she knew it. Audiences adored her sharp storytelling, her unapologetic charm, and her ability to hold a crowd captive with a single raised eyebrow. But away from the spotlight, Carson saw a different side, one that was less charming and more exhausting. Crew members whispered that Davis could be as combative off stage as she was captivating on camera. If she wasn't pleased, no amount of flattery could cool her down. When paired with other guests, especially younger stars or other women, she had a habit of dominating the conversation, interrupting freely, or even physically turning her back to someone mid-discussion, erasing their presence entirely. One talent booker swore you could watch her seethe if someone else was getting more laughs, plotting in real time how to pull the spotlight back. Her dressing room requests raised eyebrows too. Davis was known to insist on whiskey before taping, and once drinks flowed, her language sharpened. Makeup artists and cue card handlers recalled moments when her barbs became personal, including sexist and even racially charged remarks that cut deep. To Carson, known for his poise and control, this kind of behavior was more than just difficult, it was corrosive. Her sharp tongue, revered on screen, became a weapon off it. And if a guest entertained America but insulted the people who made that entertainment possible, Carson never forgot. Bette Davis didn't just demand attention, she commanded it. Her talent was beyond question, but so was her temper. Crew members remembered the smallest jobs turning into minefields. One makeup artist recalled Davis snapping, "Find someone whose hands don't shake like a drunk," before refusing to let her work. It wasn't just difficult, it was cruel. And for Johnny Carson, that was the line. During one rehearsal, Davis publicly scolded a cue card holder for being too slow. For a moment, the entire set froze. Then Carson quietly intervened. Calm but unyielding, he told her, "Miss Davis, on this show we speak to everyone with respect, or we don't speak at all." Those who were there said she was stunned. Bette Davis wasn't used to being challenged. Not by producers, not by directors, and certainly not by a talk show host. She backed down, but the moment left its mark. Johnny admired her brilliance, but he believed no amount of artistry excused humiliation. After her final Tonight Show visit in the early 80s, Carson reportedly told his producer, "That's it. Life's too short to be flogged by Bette Davis. Oscars or not." If Davis embodied the sharp-tongued cruelty of Hollywood's golden age, the next star took it several levels darker. Because when Frank Sinatra entered the building, even Johnny felt the air shift. To the world, Frank Sinatra was the ultimate entertainer. That smooth, effortless voice, the tuxedos, the swagger. Old Blue Eyes wasn't just a singer, he was an American icon of style and confidence. But Carson saw another side, a man who carried power like a weapon. Sinatra rarely arrived alone. Instead, he moved as a unit, often with half a dozen men trailing behind. They weren't publicists or managers. Crew members described them as people you didn't want to cross. During tapings, they'd scatter around the studio, silently watching. Even seasoned team members admitted it felt less like a talk show and more like a standoff. The menace didn't end with the entourage. On one occasion in the early 70s, a floor manager performed a routine duty, giving Sinatra a 3-minute cue before his entrance. Sinatra didn't take it lightly. Witnesses recalled him reaching out, grabbing the man's tie and whispering, "Nobody tells me when I've got 3 minutes. I go on when I'm ready." The manager, a war veteran, walked away shaking. Carson, watching the live feed from his office, nearly canceled the segment on the spot. The only reason he didn't? The producer reminded him how much ratings a Sinatra appearance brought in. But the damage was done. Johnny despised bullies, especially the kind that preyed on people who couldn't fight back. Things only worsened. Sinatra began canceling appearances without warning, sometimes after arriving, simply deciding he wasn't in the mood. Then came the final straw. During a commercial break, Sinatra made a cruel remark about a female staff member's looks, loud enough for the room to hear. That was when Carson broke character. For once, he dropped the charming host persona and fired back, "We don't talk about my staff that way here." Those who witnessed it said the air went electric. No one spoke. Sinatra didn't respond. He didn't have to. He'd just been challenged, and Carson never forgot the tension that followed. From then on, Sinatra's appearances were reduced to once a year, if that. For all his fame, charisma, and world-class talent, Johnny Carson saw through it. To him, Sinatra was a man who used charm when it benefited him, and fear when it didn't. And yet even Old Blue Eyes wasn't the one who disturbed Johnny Carson the most. Because coming up next was a Hollywood queen whose icy elegance melted away the instant the cameras went off. A star whose cruelty to Johnny went beyond arrogance. To Johnny, she was all smiles and curtsies. To everyone else, she was merciless. One young assistant made the mistake of entering Crawford's dressing room with a tray of water and paid dearly for it. The golden age may have looked spotless on screen, but Johnny's stories remind us the camera doesn't just add 10 pounds, it adds a layer of fiction. So the next time you watch those old Hollywood interviews, ask yourself, who were they once the lights went out? If you enjoyed uncovering the darker side of fame, hit that like button, share this video with fellow film lovers, and tell me in the comments which of these legends shocked you the most. Your thoughts might just inspire the next episode.